Hi, my name is Dr. Joe Pojman. I'm Executive Director of Texas Alliance for Life. Welcome to this week's TAL Update. I have a really special guest this week, and that is Senator Angela Paxton. She's from McKinney, and she is authoring one of the most important bills that's being considered in the Capitol, which is where we are right now, the Capitol in Austin. It's called the Human Life Protection Act, and that bill is Senate Bill 9. Senator, welcome, and tell us about that bill, which you are authoring.
I am authoring this bill, and one of the first things that you'll notice about the bill is that it's number 9. The first 31 bills in the number order are the ones that have been given priority by the Lieutenant Governor, and so it's significant in its number that it is a priority for the Senate this session. And the Human Life Protection Act is also known as, some people have referenced this as the trigger bill. What it does is it recognizes the fact that the decision to have legal abortion or not in a state used to belong to the states. And in Roe v. Wade, that was overturned. That was one of the main things that happened. It was taken from the decision-making authority of a state, and it became federal law that governed abortion law in the United States. So we've got a new court now, and one of the things that has been recognized is that we actually have the possibility that the Roe v. Wade decision could be reconsidered by this court. It could potentially be overturned or dramatically changed. And so the Human Life Protection Act simply is designed to say, if the United States Supreme Court were to reconsider, either overturn or significantly change the Roe v. Wade decision, that the authority to determine abortion law would go back to the states. The purpose of Senate Bill 9, the Human Life Protection Act, is that if that were to happen, we're basically voting now to say, if that happens, Texas says immediately that abortion will be outlawed in Texas, and that we will, as a state, stand with the fact that life begins at conception and will be protected beginning at conception.
Wow. Okay, so that means when the Supreme Court is ready and they modify or overturn Roe versus Wade, our law becomes the law. That protection extends from potentially conception through all the 40 weeks of pregnancy.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay. So the mechanism by how it goes into effect is contingent on the Supreme Court. We have a number of cases that are working their way up to the Supreme Court, and they may consider one of them. So
absolutely,
if all goes well, this could even be a matter of months when the Supreme Court could overturn its prior precedent.
Exactly.
And allow, as you say, let this decision go back to the states.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly right, which, again, is as it should be. That's how it was before. This was a states' rights issue, and we believe that it should be a states' rights issue.
So when the Supreme Court does act and allow states to protect unborn children in the womb as early as conception, then very afterwards, these babies would then be protected as they were prior to 1973 Roe versus Wade. Is that correct?
That's correct. Now, someone might ask the question, well, then why don't you just vote on it then, after the Supreme Court makes a decision? And this is why it's an important distinction in the bill. The Texas legislature is only in session for 140 days every other year. We're in session right now. We'll be in session until the end of June. It's possible, and then we won't be in session again until 23, January through the end of May in 23. What if the Supreme Court were to overturn Roe v. Wade in the meantime, in the interim, between the two sessions? We wouldn't be able to take action on this and pass this law for our state until the session in 23. And that means that there would be lives that would be lost in between. So the reason we're doing this now is we want to go on and make the decision affirmatively now that in the case the Supreme Court does overturn Roe v. Wade, or again significantly change it or alter it, that it would immediately go into effect It's triggered by that decision, and the law would become law in the state of Texas, even though the legislature wouldn't be in session at that time. So it basically covers that period of time during the interim so that lives immediately would be saved.
And if your bill were not in place and the Supreme Court acts in between, there would be tens of thousands of lives that would be lost who could be saved if your bill were law.
Absolutely.
Okay. I know this issue is very dear to your heart. I've heard you speak before. Can you tell us, why is this issue so important to you? Why is this bill so important to you?
Well, there are a number of reasons that this is important to me. First of all, I'm a mother myself. I have 4 children, and I have 1 little grandbaby. Grandbabies are even better, by the way, right? So, but I believe that life begins at conception. And so that in and of itself is enough reason for me to care about this bill. But what some people may not know about my particular story is that I'm an adopted child. And so my life began under circumstances that might very well have ended in abortion for me before I ever really saw the light of day. And I, as a human being, you know, the thing we all have in common is we've all gotten our chance to live. And I am so thankful that my birth mother gave me that chance under very challenging circumstances. And I think this is another part of the pro-life movement that is so important. And I'm carrying other legislation that is related to that, making sure that we are helping people who do choose life. I've got a daughter that is the president of Pro-Life Aggies at Texas A&M, and that's one of the things they do. They babysit for free for parenting students. We need to do things that help people and support people when they choose life, because it is a difficult path. There aren't great choices once you find yourself in this position. It's not the dream anymore, perhaps, but it matters. It matters. Every single baby deserves their chance at life. And I, as one of those babies who might not have had a chance but did, I want to speak for those babies. I want to be a voice for the voiceless. You know, I'll be honest, when our son was born, our oldest, I remember holding him in my arms and realizing this was my birth relative. This was flesh of my flesh. I'd never met a blood relative before. And I just remember thinking how much my birth mother must have valued my life to have made a decision to let me be raised by a mom and a dad that would take care of me. It's a beautiful story, and we'll talk about it more some other time. But
yes,
I will tell you that I have met my birth mother since that time, and one of the most beautiful things, my adopted mom Anita, my birth mother Linda, they met and became friends before my adopted mom Anita passed away several years ago. I texted Linda this morning. She was cheering for me today on the floor. We just passed a bill to protect churches from executive order closure. And anyway, I am thankful that I get to sit here today and do what I get to do because someone chose life for me. And none of us choose life for ourselves. Someone chose it for us. And I am so thankful of the work you do to enable young women, young men who find themselves in difficult circumstances to choose life. And for people who believe and understand the reality that, you know, every abortion does stop a beating heart. Every abortion ends a human life. It isn't health care. It, by definition, ends a life. We can do so much better in Texas than abortion. And I hope that Senate Bill 9 is a great first step in moving in that direction for the state of Texas and the women and men and children here.
So you introduced this bill. It got a priority number by our Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, who is extremely pro-life. Now, what's next for the bill?
Well, as it turns out, I believe that we will be hearing this on the floor early next week, perhaps as early as Monday.
Okay. Now, what do you expect when that happens? That's probably going to be a contentious issue. And I'm not, and you are up to it. You're so convincing. But how are you going to do that?
Well, one of the things that I have learned as a senator is there's what you do on the floor at the time you're laying out a bill and having all that discussion, but it's really important to have discussions ahead of time with people. And, I know that sometimes people that you wouldn't even expect to support a bill, sometimes you can just write people like that off. But I have learned that it's worth talking to everyone because you never know. And sometimes people will do something because they were asked. And so, it's a people business in the Senate and in the House as well, just in the legislature with what we do. But I know that what I'll be doing in the meantime is I'm going to be talking to the other members, shoring up the support, making sure that they don't have any questions that are bothering them, or maybe something minor that's keeping them from being able to support the bill. I'll be talking to other members. But, one of the things that I would love is if all of the folks that are watching this would put some energy into this as well. And, one of the things I would just ask is that the folks watching and listening would contact the people that represent them. But I especially hope that you will pray. I hope that you'll pray yourself, that you'll pray with your family, that you'll talk to the folks in your churches that care about this issue, and ask them to pray, and that you will put this on your social media and encourage other people to pray. Prayer is powerful. Prayer is powerful. And use your voice to the Lord and to the people of influence that you influence in your life to encourage them to put their hearts into this and really support this bill.
Absolutely. We do have on our website for TexasAllianceForLife.org, we've got an alert that tells you how to contact your own state senator. There's no reason for someone who doesn't live in your district to contact you. And does that make sense?
It really does. I know my staff are on the phones and checking email all the time as we are moving through the session, and they're tallying those things. They let me know. We've gotten, this many calls for this bill, this many calls against this bill. It does matter to me, and I think it matters to most of the senators. Chairman of committees, when things are going through committee, this is past that point in the Senate on this particular bill. But all of those things really matter, and I think that it also, especially when someone is kind of here and they see a tremendous amount of support pouring out, I think it matters that it's in your own words, that it's positive and respectful. I think that's you think about it for yourself. What are you more open to? Someone coming in and accusing and being belligerent about something, or saying, I hope you will consider this. I support this because, and I really want to encourage you to stand on the side of life and vote for this bill. I think it matters a lot.
The bill is Senate Bill 9, the Human Life Protection Act, one of the most important bills that's going to be considered in the legislature this session. Mm-hmm. Senator Angela Paxton, thank you so much for being here, authoring this bill, and being such a great ambassador for life.